Knowledge Network promotes independent thinking, free from the influence of advertising. As a publicly funded broadcaster, our survival is made possible by the generous support of our viewers.
Today on Call Out, Columbia Valley search and rescue scour the rugged backcountry for a missing field researcher. But there's a twist. The researcher is scouring the backcountry as well for Bigfoot, the legendary Sasquatch.
You don't know who this person is, what they're really like.
Monday, 9 a.m. Columbia Valley SAR manager Steve Talsma receives a call for a missing field researcher.
Hello, Steve speaking.
Todd Standing, a 37-year-old Albertan man, had set out alone on a 5-day expedition near Kootenay National Park. He was reported missing by his colleague 48 hours after their scheduled rendezvous.
In that time frame, he could end up in one of the national parks. He could have crossed into Alberta. And my first thoughts were, like, he could be anywhere.
The southwestern region of the Canadian Rockies, straddling the BC-Alberta border, is renowned for its beauty and virtually untouched wilderness. Kootenay, Yoho, and Banff National Parks represent close to 8,000 square kilometers of this vast expanse. Access to the area is extremely limited, other than a handful of logging and mining roads.
The details we were given is that he didn't have a tent, but he had a sleeping bag and a tarp. He'd been to this area, but wasn't real familiar with it. Okay, I'll get our team together. And
then, Steve gets some interesting news.
They went on to say it was someone looking for Sasquatch or Bigfoot, which is, yeah, a strange one.
Bigfoot, also known as Sasquatch, is derived from the word Sesquak, which means wild man in the Coast Salish First Nations language. This mythical ape-like creature is said to be between 2 and 3 meters tall and covered in dark brown or reddish hair. Many skeptics discount its existence, and any sightings to be a combination of folklore, misidentification, and hoax rather than a real animal.
When you Google his name, it comes up, like it finishes his name for you, and then says Bigfoot. You get like Todd Standing, and then the rest finishes.
Todd had been featured prominently in the media and on numerous websites petitioning for the species' protection of Gigantopithecus. His goal for this expedition was to capture high-quality footage of Bigfoot. He and his Sylvanic team had tried on numerous occasions to photograph the furry giant, with marginal success.
What he was looking for was Bigfoot. You don't know who this person is, what they're really like, and not normal for most of us.
Columbia Valley SAR preps their gear and heads out to Kootenay National Park. Once reaching the Mount Assiniboine area, the team checks in with an open-pit mine to see if they had spotted the missing subject. No luck. Next, they check out an outfitter's camp further up the road. Still no sign of Todd. They double back and check out yet another outfitter's camp, but there's still no indication that anyone has been there. The team drives to the nearby trailhead and finds a logbook entry that matches with what Todd's colleague had reported. Finally, some progress.
Most missing people will stick on a trail or near a trail. This gentleman, being a field researcher, his goal was to stay off trail and be hidden. So it really changed our approach and how we were thinking.
It's pretty dense bush here. It'd be hard to find a clue unless you're standing right over it.
With little indication of Todd's intended route, they resort to basic search theory.
He's going to need water. So we had 2 team members go up the trail along the creek, thinking his camp would be somewhere near the water source. One of the team members bent down to tie her shoe, looked up off the trail maybe 20 meters, and there was a sleeping bag.
Base, this is John.
The dog team was sent in to do the initial search. Didn't find anything, went down to the creek and did a more extensive search along the creek. Again, no sign.
Darkness falls, and the team has no choice but to call off the search until the next morning. They leave Todd's sleeping bag at the trailhead and a note telling him that they're searching for him and to stay put. Tuesday, 5:45 a.m.
Grab your packs, let's go.
Kimberly Search and Rescue has been called out to assist in the search. The team musters at the SAR Hall and heads out to rendezvous with Columbia Valley Search and Rescue in Invermere, a 2-hour drive north from Kimberly.
I had no idea that we had Bigfoot on our side of the mountains here, so I figured it was going to be a pretty interesting search.
So you're going to be lifted into here.
In Invermere, Kimberly SAR get the rundown, then continue on to meet up with the Columbia Valley team already on site. Then the news comes in. The subject has walked out.
They were all pumped up, ready to go, and to get that call, and it's like, oh, geez, didn't even make it.
Yeah, we are up the mountain. Subject has been located, so we're just looking to turn around, but we just want to talk to Steve before we head back.
The teams turn around and head back to base.
At the end of the day, if it's a good outcome like this was, he walked out of the woods on his own, that's okay. We're happy with that.
How are you going to find the most elusive animal on the planet, probably, because science, has virtually no knowledge of this species. How are you going to find it if you're not going to go out into the depths, deep, dark depths of the mountains? You got to get out there. You got to do some work.
Day 1 of Todd's journey to find Bigfoot. He's dropped off at the trailhead, where he'll be picked up 5 days later. He sets up base camp and takes off on his journey.
I only bring what I absolutely have to. So my cameras, I have a little tiny backpack that's just got food in it, and that's it. All my other gear is on my person, and it's tight, and I run, I move. I rock climb when I have to. I jump precipice when I need to. I'll do the best I can to live off the land, like the First Nations people have taught me. So I can survive out there pretty well for a short length of time, My goal was ultimately to not only get a video shot of the day watcher, but to get into the domicile and start seeing if I could see footprints and maybe hair samples and fecal matter and I don't know what else. Signs of what they're eating, bones maybe they've left behind from animals they've eaten, I don't know.
After a 2-day venture into the backcountry, Todd is successful in finding a Bigfoot domicile, a well-hidden dwelling where Sasquatches live. He carefully approaches, trying not to alarm the unsuspecting occupants, when he spots the Sasquatch.
This guy walked right into an area where I could film him and shoot him, and that's what I got. I know that's a real animal. I know it'll be put through the ringer and whatnot. Eventually, when I can prove the species is real, people will start to understand the reality of it, but it's tremendous evidence for me.
Todd is pleased to have gotten some definitive proof of the elusive giants. Then, he gets an unexpected surprise.
It was a chickadee, a black and white chickadee that gave me away. This chickadee came within about 5 meters or so of me, and he was squawking. I've never seen a chickadee do that. And he squawked, and then I could hear the movement around me. When you hear when you hear, okay, I've been found.
With his cover blown, Todd finds himself surrounded by angry Bigfoots.
What happened was he stopped me from going up the corridor. 2 at least came around behind me, picked up my trail, followed up behind, and when they dialed in on me, he moved back, and the game was over. Now it's get out of there. There's probably 3 different ways I can leave this area. If I don't leave the right way, they let me know, because things start coming down the mountain, right? And the intimidation starts. So, okay, I'll go this way. How's that sound? And, they like that, so let me go.
As Todd exits the domicile, he manages to capture some evidence of Bigfoot intimidation tactics as a boulder is thrown at him.
And you see it go by you and smash and crash into the ground. You start thinking, like this is, I don't want to mess with these guys, period. You'll also see like a 400-pound log that was thrown at me. I'd love to have one of those skeptics there when I'm being pushed out of a domicile. You come out and experience what I've seen, you will be a believer. You don't need to see film. You don't need to have hair come back, analyze the DNA unknown primate. You will realize really fast, bears don't do that. Cougars can't do that. A man couldn't do that, period. Unless he had, I don't know, a whole crew out there with slingshots and special, the whole Roman Empire is using, it's just not going to happen.
Within a few hours of his retreat from the Sasquatch domicile, he's confronted by a grizzly bear.
He was looking at me, he was dialed in on me.
Todd gets out of there.
I went fast, keeping him in mind where he was. And then I hit the rock face, and I started to rock climb. Got to a spot in the mountain where I felt relatively safe. I never saw the bear after that at all.
After his grisly experience, Todd tries to get some sleep. By now, Todd's colleague had come and gone. Search and rescue was on site, and Todd could see them in the valley below.
They were in unmarked vehicles, and I could see them, but I had no idea they were there for me. I just thought they were hunters. And so I saw them there. They were there for a while. They left. The next day came. I saw those two vehicles drive up again, so I just went down the mountain.
Todd meets up with a very surprised search and rescue team.
They were just very reassuring. They took extremely good care of me. The RCMP, they grilled me about, everything that had gone on.
This is the tree line that becomes a maze that bears, black bears, and grizzly bears love because they're fantastic ambush spots. And this tree maze goes all the way around.
There was a grizzly bear. There were tracks for the bear. How do you hoax a wild grizzly bear coming up on you just at the worst possible time?
Indeed. No sooner does he escape a band of angry Bigfoot than he's being chased by a wild grizzly bear.
I wouldn't play a game with that. It's not funny. I take this so seriously because, search and rescue might get called. The police might get involved, and that's very, very serious.
We're not here to judge. We got called for a missing person. We responded for a missing person. At the end of the day, he walked out. He was healthy. He was fine, and he got to go home. And I guess that's all that we can hope for.